Two-headed right, two heads are better than one headed right. Two heads are better than one headed right. Two heads are better than one headed right. Two heads are better than one.
Hi. Welcome.
Hello. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back to our channel. My name is Evalyn.
My name is Monty.
And together we are the Two-Headed Writer, a father-daughter writing team from Stillwater, Oklahoma.
And once a week or so, we get together to update one another on our writing progress. We started off doing this long distance because Evelyn was at school, but then coronavirus. So
You don't have to yell about coronavirus every time. They all know.
coronavirus! Now we are both at home, sequestered, losing our minds a little bit, but still writing. And I shouldn't speak for you. You're perfectly sane. And so we are still updating one another, but we're doing it in person now. And what? I have a knee.
Yeah, don't just stick your knee in the shot.
How can you tell it's in the shot?
I figure that since this part of you is in the shot, put your knee up. That part of you is in the shot too.
I think they know I have a knee.
Yeah, but you don't need to see it.
All right, starting again. Welcome to the Two-Headed Writer, featuring an absence of knees. we are updating one another about our writing projects. That includes the book we're writing together, the novels that we are independently writing, and Evelyn's classwork, and any kind of writing thing that we run into, we discuss.
Yeah.
So we're on our writing journey toward getting published one day. And if you're on a similar journey, then we're glad that you're joining us. And if you're not on a similar journey, we're still glad that you're joining us. Because, hey, viewers, Evalyn.
Yes.
You made progress on your book.
I did make progress on my book.
So, tell us about it.
Okay, so I have been trying to write 300 words every day this month because it is Camp NaNoWriMo. So I know we've talked about NaNoWriMo on this channel before, but for those who are unfamiliar, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. That's every November, and they encourage you to write a draft of a novel in a month, or the main goal is to hit 50,000 words. And then in April and in July, they have an event called Camp NaNoWriMo, which is a lot less structured than NaNoWriMo, but you're still trying to write every day for a month. And so I haven't done exactly every day, but I still am on track to hit 9,000 words written by the end of the month, which was my goal.
And recently you had a little writing spurt.
Yeah, so I've been trying to balance that and going to class online, because going to class online it sucks. It kind of wipes me out. I'm on my laptop all day. So I haven't really had the chance until recently to go back and start reading actually what I had written back in November. When I started this project, I started it for NaNoWriMo. And so I've just been writing in a separate folder within my larger Scrivener file where I've just been writing from the point of view of my main character mostly, and then also from the point of view of a character that I'm considering adding his point of view in like going back and forth. But just about random topics, right? And so I've amassed like 5,000-6,000 words worth of that just in the one document. And so last week, like Friday, I think, I started actually going into the stuff that I'd already written so that I could kind of refamiliarize myself with the project. I was doing that and I was like, oh, I need to write my words, but I was struggling to come up with what to actually write about. Like, I had gotten to the point where I didn't have any more topics that I could think of to just like brainstorm, write 300 words. Apparently April is also poetry writing month. I have some friends from Iowa who are poets and they've been like trying to write a poem a day. I kind of paying attention to it. But I was like, oh, you know what? I think that Amanda, my friend Amanda, is doing a poem a day based on these prompts that she got from this website. I don't know where the prompts came from, but I was really struggling. This was Saturday, and I was like, oh, you know what? I should just look at whatever prompt Amanda's writing from. Like, that was just, I don't know why it popped into my head. So, the prompt for that day was extinction, and I don't know why, but just that one word, like, clicked something in my brain, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the key to solving a plot hole. I knew that my main characters were searching for a specific plant as part of their quest, and I knew that it needed to be a rare plant, and I was like, oh, what if this plant, like, as a species is going extinct, and that's why they can't find the plant, and then like that led me down like a weird rabbit hole of thinking. So now I'm like doing a lot of research about different kinds of plants that grow on mountains, specifically in volcanic areas. And I've also learned that a tree can indeed have both sap and flowers. I don't know why I thought those were mutually exclusive tree things.
Okay.
But they aren't.
I don't know why you thought that either.
I don't know that much about trees, apparently.
It's kind of like knowing a thing that's not true. Like,
It's not that
it's not that I don't know anything about trees. I thought I knew that.
No, it wasn't even that I thought I knew it. It was just that when I was like, oh, okay, so they're looking for the sap for this tree to use, but then I need there to be some loophole where they can't end up using the thing that they made with the sap, but what if they use the flowers instead of the sap? And then I was like, wait, does a tree have both sap and flowers? Because when I think sap, I think pine trees. And pine trees don't have flowers, they have cones. And so I was like, do only trees that produce cones and seeds like that have sap? So it was just like a weird logical thing that my brain just misconnected things. It's not like I'd been going around looking at cherry trees like, you don't have sap, right? It was just like, I hadn't thought about it until that moment, and my brain was like,
Have you ever used maple syrup on your pancakes?
Yeah. Maple trees don't have flowers.
Well, they're not evergreens.
I didn't say that I only thought evergreens had sap.
Okay.
I just didn't think that flowering trees had sap for like 5 minutes, and I Googled it and I found out I was wrong.
It's so fascinating to me. I don't know why.
Haven't you ever had some sort of thing that you just made an assumption about how the world worked and then that turned out to not be the case?
Yes, I have.
Okay, then shush. Yeah, so I'm in that process where I'm starting to try and integrate the stuff that I've been writing over the past month into the story, and then also keep writing new stuff because I'm not done with my draft yet. I'm trying to get that done by November so that when November and NaNoWriMo rolls around again, I will be writing on the other project that I'm currently trying to outline in my free time whenever I'm stumped on this.
So, making good progress.
Yeah, actually, I feel really good about it.
Awesome.
I have little bursts of excitement about my characters, especially after this weekend. I'm like,
It's a nice stage to be in when you're just inventing and hitting ideas, new ideas. And
yeah,
just,
that was
like,
so...
This could happen, and this could happen, and this could go here, and this could make that happen.
So
Just fleshing out.
I virtually attended a series of workshops this weekend through Y'all West's virtual conference, Y'all Stay at Home.
Yep, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that one of the authors said in one of the panels is similar to that. It was a panel called Suckage is Part of Writing, and they were kind of...
Suckage.
Yes, they were
Suckage.
Analyzing... Yeah, stop saying... Every time I say suckage is part of writing, he goes, suckage!
It's such an interesting new word.
They were analyzing, like, does all writing have to suck? Like, when you first write, like, is like shitty first drafts, like, is that a thing? Like, and how do you deal with self-criticism and that sort of thing? And one of the authors was like, sometimes she feels like because other people don't view her work as work, she has to, like, downplay her own writing to then, like, prove to them that she's, like, struggling. So she's like, yeah, it really sucks right now. And she was like, you know, if you aren't so self-critical all the time about it, be critical about the things that you need to be critical about. But she was like, we get to imagine things, and then people pay us to do that. Like, that's amazing, and we shouldn't, like, try to downplay how cool that is.
I'm a professional imagination maker.
Yeah. Even if they weren't always giving me technical craft advice, just, like, hearing authors that I look up to and admire talking about, like, oh yeah, I write a first draft and I'm like, oh god, that's bad, or just like talk about their writing in the ways that it makes them feel and the way that interacting with readers makes them feel. It makes it less lonely. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I work with you a lot, but then when I'm working alone, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. It's just me out here. And then I'll, like, share it with him or with my friends from school, and it's like, oh, okay, they like it. Like, it's not a shot in the dark anymore. And so it was a similar feeling, except it was like, oh, people that I look up to who've published stories that I wish that I could have written, or that I want to publish stories that make me feel the same way, that the books that they wrote make... What are words?
What are words?
Hearing the people that I look up to because I've read their books and they've made me feel some type of way, whether it's like, oh my gosh, I want to write that book, or oh my gosh, that book made me feel really seen, and hearing them say, like, oh yeah, I struggle, and yeah, I want to do this, and, like, this is what's important to me, and they're saying the same things that I think about when I think about my own writing, like, that's incredibly validating. And so even if they weren't always giving me technical advice, like, just hearing them voicing their thoughts about their stories in a very open way that you don't always get was really cool.
Give us the 3 top technical pieces of advice that you walked away with.
Gosh. It is okay, and in fact encouraged, to know as much about your character and your world as you possibly can, because you never know when you're going to need all that information, and the fact that you have that information is only going to, like, give you the opportunity to strengthen the realism of your story. And also, apparently, sometimes authors are like, get questions where someone's like, what about this, like, detail? That's, like, the author just like, I didn't even think of that. So, like, I think a lot about, like, details, character details like that we don't ever include. Yesterday, I was writing more about, based off of this idea that spawned from the word extinction, and I started writing about things that the characters could do after the story is over. And I was like, this isn't productive. And then I remembered that the people were like, no, it's helpful. And, like, I found it helpful to, like, know all these things about the characters. I'm like, well, yeah, I should know where they're going to go after this, like, because I need to know their arc, and I need to know where they emotionally need to end up for that to happen. And so, like, I went from, like, if I hadn't heard that, them talking about that, I would have been like, this is dumb, and just, like, moved on. But then I let myself, like, explore that idea. And I just said finish the thing, right?
So that's number 2.
Yes.
So number 1, don't feel bad about throwing in details about your characters that you don't know if they'll be useful or not, because they will be useful.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, finish what you're working on.
Yeah. And number 3 is stop self-editing / like, when you are editing, be ruthless about it. I know there were a lot of things we were just talking about earlier in our book that have changed. Because they needed to change. And I remember when we first started making changes like that, I would be like, oh, but like copy it into like a new file and like save it just in case.
We have a whole file of deleted scenes and changed scenes, and
Have
we kept everything.
Ever gone back to those?
Maybe once or twice, but generally speaking, if I have it in my head, oh, we had a scene like that and now we can use it, and I go back to look for it, I almost always find that it's not very usable. Like,
Exactly.
maybe one sentence out of it, but I remember the idea. When I go back to see the actual text, I'm like, I can write that better. I'll just write it from scratch.
Yeah. So, Maggie Taduka Hall, I'm going to name drop her because, like, she was really good in this panel, was talking about how when she cuts things, she just cuts them, deletes them. If they're going to stick in her mind and she keeps coming back to them, then she knows that it belongs somewhere and she should come back to it and examine it. But, like, she doesn't even save them in a folder. She doesn't even save them in a folder. She doesn't do anything. She's like, if it's a bad concept, it's gone. But she doesn't do that until she's editing her thing, until she is revising. And so, because it, like, hinders your ability to finish what you're doing if you keep going back to what you already have and, like, editing it. So, like, I'm rereading stuff right now, and I'm like, oh, that sentence is, like, bad, and unless I know exactly how I want to change it, or there's a typo in it, I am not letting myself mess around with it.
You're just not going to play with it.
I'm not going to play with it. I'm just going to read what is there, because I don't need to touch that now unless I'm trying to, like, add to it. If I'm not adding to it, if I'm just messing around and, like, taking the building blocks and building a different tower, no, I need more blocks.
Okay. So number 3, edit ruthlessly.
Edit ruthlessly,
but
only while you're editing.
Right. I need to learn that. Except for so long, I've just been editing our book, because we've been doing draft after draft, and so it's all editing.
Yeah.
And so now I'm really used to just tinkering with it. If I go back to drafting, when I go back to my own novel and I'm drafting, I'm going to be like, editing. I'm still in edit mode, always. It's hard. It's really hard for me to get out of edit mode and just...
I know, and I've been telling you
just
for
draft.
Years that you need to learn.
Oh, thank you. Anything else going on with you in your writing? That's a lot.
It is a lot. I registered for classes since we last...
Oh, yeah, and I need to say congratulations to you, because you got into a class that required an audition.
Submission.
Audition.
Oh,
Writers can audition.
They asked for a submission.
Right.
That's what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Did
so...
they read it out loud?
I don't know.
If they did, then it's an audition.
I had to apply to be part of this undergraduate fiction writers workshop, and I applied, and I got in. So I will be taking an undergraduate fiction writing workshop next semester, as well as Spanish 1 and 3 other classes that immediately left my mind. He's going to tell you what classes I'm taking.
Alright, she's taking the writing workshop, Spanish 1, Modern British Children's Literature, a class on logical thinking.
It's called...
And arguing.
It's called Principles of Argument and Debate, and by taking that, I don't have to take a math class.
Right. And was there one more? Okay. And one more class.
Literary Publishing 1. So right now I'm an English and creative writing major on a publishing track, and then I'm also in the honors program. So I like university honors, not departmental honors, although I could potentially figure out how to do departmental honors and then I'd get honors in English and creative. I don't know. Anyway. There's levels upon levels upon levels upon...
So many honors.
Yeah, as to what my official title would be after I graduate. I'm considering adding a certificate. It's a whole thing. So...
We won't be able to refer to you without taking 2 breaths.
I already have a certificate that I earned while I was in high school. I'm considering adding a second certificate. Point being that... For the publishing track section of my major, there's a certain number of classes that I'm required to take. I have to take a literary editing course, I have to take a book design for publishing course, and I have to take literary publishing 1 and 2. So I'm not actually sure what happens in literary publishing 2, but in literary publishing 1, we are spending the first half of the semester talking about publishing in a theoretical sense, and in the second half of the semester, we're actually creating a small literary magazine. That's all very exciting. It is my most major, like, Englishy semester yet, because I'm taking three English courses. Taking 17 semester hours total. So, like, I've been doing a lot of gen ed stuff and intro stuff so far. I've had to take both Foundations of Creative Writing and Foundations of the English major in my first year. I had to take rhetoric because everyone's required to take rhetoric. Those are all like basic introductory classes. And then my other classes, aside from Shakespeare, have all been gen ed. You've been editing our book.
Yes, I have.
How is that going?
I am on chapter 7. And it's going very well, although perhaps a little slower than I had hoped. But I think our book is awesome, and it is polishing up very nicely. That's really pretty much all I have to say about it.
Have you been doing anything else writerly?
Anything else writerly besides editing our book? Well, I've still been working on my folly.
Yes.
And I have the same report that I always have.
Okay, cool.
Which is that I'm still working on it.
Yep.
And I have a couple of songwriting clients that I'm working for right now. So that's taking up some of my time.
Ah, yes.
And
I
so...
got roped into that.
What?
I got roped into that.
Oh, that's right. I had Evalyn sing a little backup part for me.
I no longer remember any of it. I don't know how I couldn't sing it. It immediately left my head.
Thanks. That's
Yeah,
an
the
endorsement.
weird, not like the concept, but the weird like harmony part you had me learn.
Oh,
I couldn't sing
right.
that anymore.
On the dog song, I'm on the recording part of the process.
Yes.
And the other one, I'm on the writing part of the process. So that is writing, but I haven't gotten into it enough to say much about it yet. Mostly doing research for that one. And so, I haven't looked at my other book in a while. Yep, that's pretty much it. I've been spending at least 2 hours a day editing our book.
So that is all that we have for you guys this week. If you liked this video and you want to keep following us on our writing journey, remember to click that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Usually it's Sunday, but like today, last night, I had issues uploading it, so it didn't show up on YouTube until this morning, but it's fine.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, please. We like those.
And post your favorite writing tip. We talked about writing tips that Evalyn got from the online conference, and maybe there's a favorite tip or a favorite saying about writers that you have that you could post below, and we will enjoy it when we see it.
We will be back next week with another video, but until then, remember,
Two heads are better than one.